So this month we're looking at power. We have our theme for the entire year, which is Masters of Love, Power, and Play. Now, love and play are the fun ones. Power is we have a little more challenge with power, so we're going to have fun this month talking about it. We talked all about love last month. This month, we'll be talking about what spiritual power is today, and then the next 3 Sundays, we'll be talking about different tools to start accessing and opening ourselves to that spiritual power. And then on the 5th Sunday of this month, we will get to know what true power is about, because for those youth who are willing to participate, we'll be participating in creating our service for that 5th Sunday. And we'll have Claudia LaRoche, who is the teen director both at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living and Unity of Tri-Valley. She will be our guest speaker, and she is pure youth herself. So there's no way to understand true spiritual power without inviting our youth to come forward and shine their gifts. I know Mason's going to be playing, the viola or cello? Viola. I mean, we have incredible youth in our community. I'm so excited. Oh, I'm not going to be here. What am I saying? I got to work that differently somehow. And Julian is coming. He said there's no way he's missing it. So we're dropping him off and taking the Sunday off. That doesn't make sense, but I'll figure this out. Okay. So power. What is spiritual power? Everywhere around us is power, and it has many names according to what tradition you're in. So it's the Shakti energy, it's chi, it's the Holy Spirit. It's everywhere. It's in, through, and as all. Right now in this room, it's swirling. It's swirling. We can't see it, and we can if we open up the eye behind the eye. We can start seeing that everything that seems solid, the chairs, the floor, is actually just energy swirling around. So we're in this massive energy, and it's moving, and it molds itself according to how we are feeling. So our thoughts and our emotions have a powerful effect. Not just one thought, not just one emotion, but habit patterns. Those that just we keep thinking over and feeling it over and over and over again solidify. So these chairs are a solidification of an idea. First comes the idea, and then comes the energy, and then it creates a solid form, or seeming solid form. So we're always doing that, and we do it as individuals and collectively. We have a collective belief system of thoughts and emotions, and we're creating culturally all the little cultures of our family, of our communities, and as a country and as a world. We have all these ideas and beliefs of how the world is, and we're creating it. This is the fundamental teaching of Centers for Spiritual Living, of all New Thought teaching, which is that we are creative beings. So you may have heard many times the phrase, change your thinking, change your life. And now, as Abraham Hicks and those guys, because when they channel, it's actually a group of them, talk about, it's also emotion. We don't want to just do change your thinking. You want to really have your emotional patterns move into alignment. And how masterful we can get at that varies. So if we start being specific, this is where we start learning the mastery of it, the strengths of being specific or not specific. I had a friend who wanted a house by the water. So she was in her mind really creating this idea of the feeling tone of a house by the water. She got a house that she loved, but it had everything she wanted except by the water, until it rained and then it flooded. And she goes, I'll have to get more specific next time. But that's what happens. The moment we start getting specific about what we want and creating, we'll find that it can be interpretations of what that means can get confusing or complicated and limiting. So then there was, let's get more to how we want to feel. So when I'm in the house, when I'm walking around my house, how do I want to feel? Like, how does she want to feel being by the water? How does she want to feel being in her house? So whenever you're creating, whatever that mind, heart, body energy is, we start saying, okay, how do I want to feel? So that starts opening us up. We don't have to limit it to certain things. And so I want to start to feel harmony. I want to feel harmony with where I live and where I work, and there's this wonderful energy, and I want to feel beauty, and I want to feel abundance, and I want to feel love. And so we start opening up to what would it feel like to have all these beautiful qualities moving in through and as our being. And that's wonderful. That's why people love this teaching, because it's way fun and creative. So what is our poor little Joel Goldsmith? He seems pretty cranky in the reading. I don't know if anyone else is just like, there's no power. So we're like, but that's very powerful. That's the intention of our teaching, was to move people from a victim consciousness, conditions are happening to them, to I can stand in my power and start creating a different experience. So we want to be able to embrace that. We don't want to feel like we are a victim to circumstance, condition, other people, situations. We want to stand in being able to create the feelings and the energy and the life that we want. And it all sounds so good, but we're human beings, and that's the part that just tends to... We have our attachments. You may have heard like karma. We have things that we come into this earth and we really, really want. And there's things we really, really don't want. So even though we could say, well, I'm open to harmony and creativity, but I really want it to look like this. I'm surrendering against it, but I really want it to look like this. So then it becomes like, I really want it to look like that, but I'm going to pretend I'm open. And so all this stuff starts to happen. We're human beings. We have limitations. We have likes and dislikes. And we're all in a degree of how much we want certain things and how much we don't want things. But that's what starts to block sometimes our good. Sometimes it limits us if we don't really love ourselves. If there's negativity within it, that blocks us. Or maybe we may want things that are not necessarily good for our highest good. So we want something and it really isn't what's good. I know, and I've mentioned this before, there are times, and I'm sure many of you have had this experience, where you do get what you want, and then it's like, I don't feel any better or happier or deeper or more close to God. I got what I want, but there was an emptiness to it. There was a lack of fulfillment in it. Even people who've had dramatic cures in their bodies, and I separate cure and healing, but that's a whole other talk. Cures in their body may be happy that they're feeling healthier, but they don't necessarily feel any more connected to the transcendent, infinite self I am. So that's one challenge of only looking at it from a place of creating what we want. There's another really big challenge, which is it can be very fun, and we can get really good at it, and it gets intoxicating. The talk tonight was power, God's most dangerous and freeing quality. Spiritual power is an incredibly intoxicating energy. Wow, look what I can do. Woo! And if we're not clear and pure vehicles, somewhere along the line we start misusing that power. And this is how we have so many spiritual teachers who misuse their power, who have hurt other people because they know how to use it. And I don't know if it's even consciously that they do it. Some is consciously, I just want to get what I get, whether it's hurting people through sexual misconduct, addictions, money is a big one, power over telling people what to do. And I can tell you many people, I have a whole little list of people who have come to me, all different types of teachers where they have felt injured by those teachers. There was one man, his name is Daniel Brinkley. Anyone hear of Daniel Brinkley here? Yeah. Daniel Brinkley, he's had 3 near-death experiences. He wrote a book, Saved by the Light. And he was a Green Beret and had a past he wasn't proud of. So during these near-death experiences, he had to face what he had done. He now does a lot of work with people who are making their transition, hospice work. He loves it. And he says he can't wait to die in real life again. I mean, forever, because he had such a great time. Anyway, so it's cool. Here's a guy, he's had 3 death experiences. He knows a lot. He came to our center in Oakland, and he gave a talk, and I remember being like, I don't like him at all. And I was really, because I had this idea, and I still question things that he said, but it was very illuminating. So some of the things he said was like, he came in, we think of spirituals very soft and humble, and he was just totally, I'll tell you right now, you can't beat me in any argument because I create the framework, and if I create the framework, I win the argument. And I'm like, okay? And then he said, and right now, I'm controlling all of you. I am watching my breath, and I've got you on this side breathing one way, and I have you on this side breathing another way, and I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, he's not really saying this. But what the gift was is he was actually saying out loud what I think happens often with spiritual leaders who do start really getting the power of breath, of the Shakti energy, that they can move, and you can really impact other people when you do that. So if you have ambition to have some sort of fame or glory, you start using that energy to get people attracted to you, and people who feel that energy and power, and it is a spiritual power to a point. So Andrew Harvey had this, Andrew Harvey, do you know Andrew Harvey? Okay, Andrew Harvey's, he's actually coming, to Berkeley this Wednesday? If you're interested in going, Edie's going. He's an amazing spiritual teacher. He's had many, many, many experiences. But years ago, he was following an Indian teacher, Mother Meera, in India for 15 years, wrote a book about her, did a BBC documentary on her, did everything to really say this world needs to know who this woman is. And he was part of her inner circle. And then he fell in love, and he's gay, and he brought his partner to Meera, and she said, no, you cannot be gay. And you have to tell the world that I'm making you into a straight man now. And this is after he spent 15 years loving and adoring this woman, and she just slashed off his sexuality right there. And it was devastating to him. And then the experience of then leaving a group that felt he was betraying them because he was leaving them, and feeling energetically this energy against him. And that's the part that's amazed me. It's like people do use this power, not always for good. And that became a question for me. Okay, so we have all this energy, all this power, and we can use it, but is there something greater than this power? Is there something sort of monitoring all us crazy people down here using all this power? As Joel said, we usually want to use a power to overcome another power that we don't like. So he was using it in war, but we do it in all sorts of things. I don't like my money situation, so I want to overcome lack, and that lack can become an enemy. So the feeling that lack is a power that we have to overcome. He was trying to shift that and saying there's actually no other power other than this one power. And as we move into that one power, we start realizing there's something even greater, deeper, that human beings cannot use even if we try to. We cannot be in charge of it. It is greater and more powerful than all the power that we think we can be. In the Sufi teaching, the mystical teaching, they want people to access on that journey that spiritual power, and then that's the last thing that you have to give up to move into your full mystical state, is the spiritual power. Because again, it's very intoxicating. And what do we know about Jesus? He's in the 40 days. He's enticed with all this power that he could have, and he had to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Buddha, you can have all these things. No. We make it sound so easy with these stories, but actually it's very enticing. So the journey of the mystic is about purifying ourselves, purifying our intentions. Why are we on, what is our intention? Am I driven by my own ambition? Am I driven by money? Am I driven by fame? And being honest. There's so many people on the spiritual path who may think, well, those are so shallow. I don't have those things inside of me. But as we start purifying ourselves, or I want the perfect relationship, for women it's more about relationships a lot of time. Where can we purify? And that's a really hard journey. People wonder sometimes why I wear the cross, because I don't identify as Christian. But one thing I've learned on the spiritual journey is, for me, it's about death. That my journey is constantly about dying to all the things that I think that I want or don't want, and to embrace that, to rather than run from it, to embrace death as sort of my spiritual, and death being letting go. Why does this matter to us here in this room? Years ago, when I first started the spiritual journey with other people, not just in my own little world, it was late 80s, early 90s, I became aware of have you ever heard of the Brain Mind Bulletin? It was put out by Marilyn Ferguson. She was the author of the Aquarian Conspiracy. Anyone heard of the Aquarian Conspiracy? A few of you? So before the internet, before we all got to know that all of us were around, nobody knew that everybody was doing all these things, Rolfing and Reiki and transcendental meditation and all the millions of modalities that are out there. So she actually became what she called a clearinghouse. And she was articulating what was going on in our culture. That because there was no internet, people didn't know all these other people were doing it. So she was getting letters all the time thanking her, like, wow, I didn't know all these other people were out doing what I'm doing. So she had a monthly newsletter called the Brain Mind Bulletin, and her book, The Aquarian Conspiracy. And here's what I remember from it. I am not a horoscope person, so the fact that I remember this is pretty amazing. She was saying that we were moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And the age of Pisces was about singular leaderships, where you had a singular leader, like a Jesus or a Buddha or a guru from India. And the age of Aquarius was about collective mastery. It wasn't just about the single mastery. And I thought that was really cool, because I myself had realized, wow, there's been some amazing people that have walked this planet, and this planet's still in a lot of suffering. We need a lot of people who are waking up. We need a lot of masters. Thus our theme this year, Masters of Love, Power, and Play. But what I started to notice as I've been on this journey, and especially recently in the last 10 years, even though we have this idea and you hear, oh, you're a spiritual master, but come to my workshop and I will change your life forever. Do this and I will, if you do this path, you are going to find the way. And this is the first event. There's never been an event like this ever before. Unprecedented. You'll have an experience you've never had. And I get all these emails, and what's happened is we have all these spiritual superstars, celebrities. And what I see in many ways is that our spiritual world is almost mirroring the secular world, which is we have a bunch of celebrities and everybody wants to be near them. And people love to name drop, well, yeah, I just met Wayne Dyer and he said this to me, or I just met Deepak Chopra. And we all know who those are, right? Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra. Yeah, we know those spiritual celebrities. I always know when there's an integral class, because the first thing they do is put all the big superstar teachers that are going to be your teachers if you take this class, and you're going to have the most amazing experience. And it's been really troubling to me, because I thought, well, this isn't the point of what we're teaching. We're supposed to be moving away from the superstar and the spiritual celebrity to everyone being spiritual masters. So I'm inspired by the monastic communities, and for those of you who know me, recently I've been very inspired by the monks on Mount Athos, Greek Orthodox monks. I never knew about them until I started reading these books. There's 80 monasteries on this one island. It's near Cyprus. And with the monks, they have a culture of, there's not spiritual superstars. They're all giving their life to God. Everyone on all 80 monasteries, they all have their different unique flavor, just like every community has their unique flavor, every individual has their unique flavor. It's not about becoming the same. Actually, we become more unique. But they all are equal in that they're all living their entire life for God. They're all in prayer. They're not like preaching to one another. Well, this is what you need to know. If you're going to be free, I've got the information and you need to take my workshop. They're all in it together. There are different roles that people play that as they give themselves over to God, they find their unique gifts. There are also elders. So you have a novice that comes, you have an elder that will mentor them, and you're a novice for 3 years. That purifying process, just to even see if this is the role that you're going to play in the world, it takes 3 years just to release a lot of the stuff, just to see, is this what's calling me forth? An elder will walk you through that. These monasteries have been there for over 1,000 years, so they've been doing this generation after generation. That person will be your elder for your entire life. But it's not, once you've moved past those 3 years, there's a sense that you have your own spiritual mastery at that point. And then you're just playing your role, and you have someone to talk with to let out anything that needs to. It's traditional, so they have confession. So you go to your elder and just let out whatever is disrupting your purifying process as part of your regular spiritual practice. But it's not a sense that they are better than me, or that they have a closer connection with God than me, or that they have an answer that I need to get from them. That's, I guess, the key, is that they have an answer, they know something, and I need to be near them to get the answer. The entire monastic community is everybody has the answer within them. And I'm like, well, that's what we teach, but we're still so focused on the spiritual leaders, and we have that. How do we shift that model? We seem to have a hard time with that. So we had a really exciting class Thursday night. Because we started talking about what would that spiritual leadership program look like here in this community, and what would that purification process look like for us. So our Thursday night class we're starting this Thursday, and it's going to be the first spiritual leadership class, and then in September will be our second. And so this class that's going through now will be the mentors for the group starting in September, and we're going to be around for 1,000 years, so we'll just keep mentoring each other for a lifetime. And the ideal for me, as I told the class on Thursday, is to facilitate myself out of a job. Meaning, in 3 to 5 years, the people that are in the spiritual leadership class are so infused with the Spirit of God that we don't need just one leader, that there's collective leadership in the community. So I can see different speakers who've gone through this leadership process, the purification process of letting all that stuff and letting all the stuff blocking us go, and it's hard. All that karmic energy, being a vehicle and having different amazing speakers every Sunday, leading all the classes, leading the workshops, that we become and doing things, create a garden, create a social ministry, that it doesn't have to be just classes like in a workshop, that we all have this role that we start seeing that we're here to play, and suddenly we're this incredibly collective community where we shine the light of who we are in the world, not because we're great marketers, not because we're like, oh, this is the first ever, you won't get this anywhere else, but because we are loving the God within us. We are finding that truth within us, and we become a community of spiritual masters. To me, that is a power that is not we are creating, we are surrendering into. We become a space to allow all the love of the universe to pour through every atom and cell of our being. Not love that we are making happen. We are allowing play, joyfulness to pour through us, to delight in the universe, to delight in each other and our relationships with each other. Not because we are forcing ourselves to have fun, but it just is a natural flow as we let go of all this stuff that's blocking us. And to be that light as a community. And I think, so, and it's amazing how it starts. So, Reverend Jane Beach, who's also a Centers for Spiritual Living minister, she was doing her own classes, sort of left the traditional CSL program. And so she was sort of my inspiration. Oh, I don't need to follow the rules. And then, but then, so even as we have this wonderful dialogue on Thursday about what this spiritual leadership program is going to be, I'm suddenly talking to a minister, a colleague of mine who's on the East Coast, and she's asking, well, I'm not sure what to do about education. I'm not feeling called to do what we were doing. So I told her all about Thursday's class. She got so excited. She goes, oh my gosh, I feel like I've been set free from this incredible prison. I'm so excited. Already, we don't have to do anything. We just say yes to allowing ourselves to be used by God, and that light starts to impact other communities. So we become not a community of superstars or spiritual celebrities, but we become a collective community of masters of love and play. That, to me, is allowing God's power to become alive and vital as us. So as we think about what Joel was saying in his words about how to, Joel Goldsmith, by the way, is a New Thought mystic. He was really moving out of the mental world into the deep spiritual world. And so the thunder of silence is really him saying, let's shift out of all this mental creating and allowing the isness of pure spirit to be us, to live us. And that's a different power that we can't control. And that's the no power that he was talking about, moving out of the power into making something, to allowing. Oh, and I was thinking, I just see the Staleys over there, with Shunryu Suzuki. You know, for those of us who did the Zen meditation class, I was sending out these memories of Shunryu Suzuki, who's a Zen master, was in the 60s. So humble, so beautiful, and he just opened up our hearts. It wasn't just the Zen teaching, it's who he was. It was his life. He was light, he was joyful, he didn't take himself too seriously, yet he took his practice seriously. Just understanding what that lightness of being feels and looks like. And so I was thinking, this is what spiritual power looks like. And as we feel and remember, hear these, Joel talking about no power, Shunryu Suzuki about his great humility, then I was, just this past week, I happened to come upon, which I'm not much of a Bible person, but these last 2 weeks I had Bible, from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 1 through 10. This is Jesus not talking to the masses, but talking to his disciples. He was talking to the ones who really said, we want to be masters of God, of spirit, of Christ consciousness. And what did he say? And he opened his mouth and he taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons and daughters of God." It's when we let go. We don't try to force the power into the world. We just let go and allow ourselves to let that love heal us and heal the people with whom we come in contact, because our hearts and our bodies and our minds have let go of all of our attachments and resistances, and we get to be that space. So I love to end with one of my favorite quotes as we enter into prayer. It's from St. Francis of Assisi, who says, "Go out and preach the gospel. Go out and preach the good news. And if you must,